Whoa, whoa. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amber Rose, also known as the Religious Hippie. You can basically follow me on any social media platform, or you can go straight to my website at thereligioushippie.com. So yeah, I apologize for not doing this over the holidays, but the holidays are just crazy in general, and I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't have watched this anyways, because during the holidays, you're supposed to be with family and friends and everything, so you know what? It's fine. We're back. We're back at it again.
Hey everyone, we're back.
Let's just dive right in. Hello, Amber. I would like to remain anonymous for my question. My main question is, how can I be myself and still make Catholic friends? Should I stop being so open about myself, or am I with the wrong people? Here's the background about my conversion. So when I decided to convert, I was leaving witchcraft. I had been practicing pagan practices for almost 6 years. I was an alcoholic, a drug addict, and extremely mentally unstable. I have been to jail. I have seen it all. I went to a relic service thing that Father Carlos Martins had, and I came in contact with saints and their remains, and even Joseph's robe. I chose to change and convert. My life has been so amazing since I converted, and I'm still in my honeymoon phase with Jesus. Fast forward to now, I have lost all of my secular friends. I have 2 or 3 who are still my friends, and they're very respectful of my faith and still love me. They ask me questions and are very kind when it comes to problems they have with the faith. When I got baptized this last Easter vigil, I met a group of Catholic women. There are about 50 plus of us now. We have meetings around the metro, and we have had the best of times. We used to meet as a group of 20, then we broke off to 5 in each town. The main reason we broke apart was for us to make friends and be able to be vulnerable. In my city, it's 8 of us, so they asked me about my conversion story. They are very uncomfortable with me now. They get scared when I talk. They stare at me when I say something they misunderstand. There are girls that still don't judge me and want me there, but when I talk about my experiences, the girls who don't like me look at me like I'm crazy. I just don't know what to do. I feel like I am too Catholic for my secular friends. Then I feel like I am too damaged to be around the women group I am in. I feel stuck and I feel like a mess. I feel like I truly don't belong with the faith sometimes, and I know it sounds silly. I came to the group to get more comfortable making friends and feel confident in my faith. It's truly torn me down. Should I just not be myself in front of everyone? I feel lost. Thanks for all you do. Hey, welcome home. I am so glad you're here. I am so glad that you are Catholic and you turned away from those ways, because it's very difficult, and I think your testimony is really powerful to those who actually appreciate it. And I'm so sorry you have to deal with people like this. Unfortunately, they are everywhere. I've had to deal with them myself, so I'm going to give you the best advice I can in this situation. Now, it's not necessarily that you can't share yourself with others, but I want to introduce a term here called emotional chastity. I don't think you necessarily have done anything wrong, because that would be the perfect opportunity and place to share about your testimony, since they asked about it, and that was a perfect opportunity to open up and actually be real with them. And some people just can't handle that, and that's on them. But there is a thing called emotional chastity. This is where we really understand who we can share our heart with and who we have to guard our heart from. And I think that's a really important distinction, because we'll think, oh, well, we should be able to share our testimony with anyone because they'll appreciate it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And as you're witnessing here, it's impacting your own faith life to the extent of the fact that you don't feel like you belong in Catholicism, which you do belong. 100% you do. But it's affecting that. And so it's really important to know the people we can trust with the details and those who probably won't completely understand it. But I noticed you did say there were a few women there who still wanted you to go and be there. I would cultivate relationships with them and not focus on the Debbie Downers as much, because you're going to find a lot of those in every part of your life. They're going to be your coworkers, they're going to be family, they're going to be Catholics, they're going to be Protestants. Like, there's going to be a lot of people. But it's a little more painful when it's coming from the people who you're supposed to be sharing this faith with. That's, the universal church. We accept everybody. We don't accept everyone's sins, but we accept everybody. And you're not witnessing that. And that's really sad to see, because everyone should be able to look at your testimony and be like, wow, she came from such a difficult background and found Christ. What an inspiring story. But they're not. And that's really unfortunate. I also think conversation etiquette is something we've lost in society today. Oversharing is a huge issue. I'm not saying that you're oversharing, but I know for a fact I have met people who I have literally met them that day and they've just told me everything about their life. Things that I feel like they should have told a priest or a therapist, not a random stranger they just met. But it really did make me question a friendship with them because I felt like they were trauma dumping on me, and that's exhausting. We never want to feel like we're trauma dumping on people. We want to make sure that what we're saying is appropriate for the situation we're in and for the people we are talking to. So let's say there's one woman where you know that she's a little bit put off by your testimony. Obviously, don't seek out a friendship with somebody like her, but be kind to her still. And if she asks about certain things, you'll have to water it down for her. But then let's say the other women who accept you for who you are and they want you to be there still, you can probably go into more detail when the time calls for it about your testimony. That might be on a little deeper scale. So it's important to decide when it is appropriate and when it's not to share certain things about our lives. It doesn't mean you have to change who you are. It just means you're guarding your heart and you have emotional chastity over your own emotions and your own testimony. And I think that's something that I've really had to learn too. So just remember that peace is so powerful, and being able to keep your peace is going to be like amazing. So there are going to be some people you can trust and some you can't. And you just have to kind of decide which ones those are. And people are going to hurt you. Unfortunately, that is how people are. And it's really unfortunate that you have to deal with this. But having a smaller circle of friends is not a bad thing. And what I mean by smaller is probably a triangle, like you and 2 other women. That's kind of how my friend circles have been throughout the years, is I usually have 2 best friends and then me. And over time, those friends kind of change, or I fall in and out of friendships with people. But I've always had at least 2 best friends, and then there's me. And I really think that that's okay. I don't think you need a big circle of friends. Not saying you want one specifically, but I think a lot of people want a big group of friends to hang out with constantly. And when they don't have that, they feel very lonely. But if you have 2 or maybe 6 people you can rely on and they're very kind and welcoming to you, focus on those friendships and cultivating those relationships. But please do not let these people ruin Catholicism for you, because these people do not represent God. Technically they do because they're Catholic and everything, but they don't represent him in the right way. I'm unsure where you live, but Meg and Cecilia in What in the Dang Heck podcast, they have a Facebook group. I think it's a Facebook group. And on there, women have been able to find each other who live in the same states. So I highly suggest that you join that Facebook group and maybe find some other like-minded women in your area that you could potentially connect with. So you could try that as well. I think that's really helpful. Because sometimes we don't know people are out there because they're pretty quiet, they're not on social media, or they don't go to the same church as us, but I think that would be helpful. I know this is a really difficult time, but just know that Jesus is with you. Go to adoration, go to mass, ask Jesus to bring good Catholic friends into your life. That prayer will not go unheard. Our second question for today. Hi, Amber. This is something that has been on my heart for a while. There is a guy who I really, really like, and it's been hard because there are moments when I want to tell him how I feel, but it's difficult for a number of reasons. 1, I am afraid he doesn't like me back, or maybe he likes someone else. 2, he's going to college in the next year in a different state, so I don't think the whole long distance thing would ever work. I have told myself multiple times that I should probably move on, but it's hard. If you have any advice, I would greatly appreciate it, and I would love to hear it. Okay, so this is a really common situation. Please do not feel overwhelmed. I can only make assumptions based off of this, so if I get anything wrong, please forgive me and take my advice with a grain of salt. But it seems like right now you guys are seeing a lot of each other. Maybe you go to the same school, or maybe you guys go to the same youth group, something like that, but it seems like you're seeing each other quite a lot, which is preventing you from moving on. Okay, so what do? Well, the first thing you should do is you should just get it out there. I know that seems really intimidating, but telling him in person, not over text, be like, hey, I really actually like you, and seeing if he actually likes you back. Because if he does, great. If not, then perfect. That just confirms that you need to move on, and it makes it way easier. Of course, it's going to suck for a little bit. You're probably going to feel a little sad, and that's totally fine. But at least now you know that there is no chance of you guys dating, or you do know that he likes you back. And it's like, great, now we can figure out the next steps. But not knowing at all is where you're going to stay in that limbo and you're just going to keep guessing. And you're either going to regret not asking him sooner because then he's going to be interested in someone else and move away and all that stuff. Or you're going to regret never asking because, you're going to just continue thinking that there's hope for a relationship when there isn't. So I think it's really important to just get it out there and be honest with him. Honesty is so important because guys are clueless. You need to just get it out there and be like, hey, I really like you. And I know things are going to change in the next year or so, but I was wondering if you'd like to go on a date. You don't even have to make the first move to be like, oh, I want to go on a date. But I definitely think being like, hey, I really like you is a good start. And if he does like you back, then you guys can figure out the whole long distance relationship thing. And usually you want to give it 3 months. After 3 months of being long distance and neither of you lose any kind of attraction or interest in each other, then usually you're good. The 3-month rule is pretty common, but if it seems like you guys aren't that connected after 3 months and he seems distant or you seem distant, it probably isn't going to work out. And if that's the case, then you can focus on your relationship with God and becoming a better person for someone who is going to come along who God has in mind for you. I also highly suggest this one prayer if you're brave enough to pray it. God, if this relationship is from you, then let it be done and give me courage. But if it is not, take it away. It's a very powerful prayer and God will answer it. And I want to say that God does not always answer our prayers in the way that we want or the way we expect. And a lot of times it's in hindsight that we look back and we're like, oh, I'm so glad that didn't work out, or I didn't get what I prayed for. So just keep that in mind as well. It's hard to see right now, but later down the road, you might realize like, oh, it's probably good that relationship did or didn't work out. Long distance relationships can work out. It's difficult, it's hard, but if you guys are both committed and depending on how old you are and how old he is, you guys can visit. It's not too bad. But long distance relationships take a lot of commitment and work, and that has to be something you guys are willing to commit to. But the first step is putting it out there and letting him know that you like him, because then you'll know what directions and what steps to take after that. All right, guys, that is it for this video. If you would like to be on the help segment, email me at thereligioushippie@gmail.com. Make sure you put help in the subject so I know it's for the help. And please say if you want to remain anonymous or not so that I'll be able to tell when I do these videos. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.